Hey everybody, this is Lonnie. Working on From Backyard to Browser. This is the weather application end-to-end example of using OSIsoft Cloud Services, OCS, and a complete serverless solution where we're going to deploy everything to the cloud. It's all running in the cloud. We'll have a weather app on a mobile device or in a browser that's reading data from OCS. So anyway, in this part, we're going to do something pretty fun and cool. We're just going to deploy our two collectors that we have running to Azure and just fire those off and let them start writing data periodically to OCS. Looking at the architecture here, we have all of this completed now. The last thing we need to do is just deploy these collectors to Azure as Azure Functions. They're already set up to do that, so we're just going to go into Visual Studio and take care of that. So let's come over to our project here. And here's our two Azure Functions. And if you remember at the very top here, when we created these as Azure Functions, they were set up like this, and this just came out of the box. We didn't have to do anything. So all I want to do is change the frequency that this is going to happen. This first asterisk is seconds. This is minutes. This is our forecast collector. So the last one is hours, and at the top of the hour, every hour, I want to update the forecast. It's probably good enough for in this situation. I don't think dark sky forecast changes all that often. For the weather station, I have it setting reading every 5 minutes. I like that. I think we'll stick to 5-minute reads. Okay, so from here we just right click on the project, we go publish, and then I'm connected to my Azure account, and we're going to do this as a consumption plan. So that just means that when they actually turn on and execute, there'll be charges for that amount of time. Otherwise, they're going to turn off and they'll just be in the background and you won't incur any charges. So this is really great for testing. I've been running these functions in testing, getting ready for this project, and it's literally, I think it's cost me like 10 cents for a month. Very, very inexpensive in this situation. Okay, so I'm going to create a new plan. We'll go ahead and publish. I'm connected to my account already. If not, I could go ahead and connect. In this case, I don't have to. A resource group. I'm going to create a new resource group. We'll call this Atmo demo, and say OK. And then we're going to deploy this to the west, near where I live. We'll continue to use the same storage account that I've used for my test program that I wrote in preparation for this. Okay, so we'll go ahead and create that. It takes a few minutes, not terribly long, maybe about a minute or so. So once it goes into Azure, it's going to create this resource group. Everything will be contained under this resource group, so we can more easily manage it. I found that's convenient when working with this with a lot of different projects. Things can get mixed up quite easily. So I did fail to mention that app services here is where we create a resource group, but under that we're going to create an app services that our functions will get deployed to. So there's a couple levels there. Okay, great. All the resources have been created. Now it's going to compile and deploy the two functions that we have in this project. You see everything's deploying right now. It's publishing them. And then we'll go over to Azure and we'll take a look and we'll do a test. We'll do a test run to make sure that they're working okay, and then we'll just let them run indefinitely. We'll have more data. Okay, so let's go ahead to resource groups. I'm going to refresh this, and here's our Atmo demo resource group that we created. Here's our Atmo service. And we should see our two functions deployed once this loads. Okay, there's our forecast collector, weather station collector. So let's go ahead and look at the weather station. And I can run this And then down here in the logs, it'll show that there you can see that it actually was really fast. It says started weather station right. That's that log entry, and then it completed the weather station right. There weren't any errors. So that was great. Let's go ahead and go to the forecast collector. I'll clear the log here, and we can try running it. And here you can see it started the forecast right and completed the forecast right. So it was very, very fast. Now these are going to periodically fire off, and if we want to look at what's happening, I can go into the monitor here, and you can come back and check this from time to time if you're wondering if everything's working okay or not. This will show you kind of like a history of what's been executed. And here you can see it. The last time it ran was a few seconds ago, and it was successful. So a lot of times I'll come into here if I'm having problems and it looks like the data is not getting in there. I'll come and look at that. And if we just want to prove to ourselves that we did get data, we can come over to our data views. Our trend, not data view. And I can add in the current temperature, and we can look at, let's go ahead and look at the last hour. And we can see that this is at 6:09, which was just a couple minutes ago. We can see that we had a value of 66 written in there, and that's perfect. So we can see that's coming in. I think that's probably good enough for now. So if we could go over to sequential data store, I want to go to types here. Let's look at our forecast daily. And I was just wondering if I looked at the data here. Yeah, so the forecast data, it's going to be a little bit harder to tell if it was actually written to because the timestamps are for our future values. But if we come over here and look at our forecast collector, we definitely can see that it's running and it was successful. Okay, I think that's probably good enough at this point. So this was a really short video, just how to deploy things to Azure. So this whole idea of microservices and serverless functions is really cool. You can set these things up, deploy them, and then monitor their health. They're broken apart into simple little components to work on it. But then you can see we can share code, like we set up a class that we can share code between both of these collectors. We're going to continue to use this Azure Functions when we get into building the API. We're going to have the get snapshots and get forecasted values. So we're going to have a couple of calls that we're going to set up as functions also. All right, so my name's Lonnie. I hope you're getting a lot out of this video series. I'm really enjoying doing it. I'm super excited about this technology and sharing it with everyone. So stay tuned for the next part. I'll see you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.